And a very good morning, everyone. It's Monday, the 8th of July, 2019. Oh dear, good morning. First of all, let me just apologise for the poor audio quality this morning. If there ends up being a rustling or anything that's not my voice that sounds terrible, it's because I'm using plug-in headphones with my microphone because my Bluetooth isn't working. It broke. But let me get straight into it. Should life in prison mean life in prison? And should we bring back the death penalty, and for what reason? Now, I'm a bit of an hard bastard when it comes to certain things. I think life in prison should be life in prison. 100%. You know, the punishment should fit the crime. If you murder someone, as in you thought about it first, you know, you planned it out, you wanted that person dead, that's murder. No matter how you look at it, that's murder. You took away someone's life, then that should be life in prison, surely. The same as, you know, if you're a traitor. Look at Shamima Begum. You know, she wants to come back. Well, if she wants to come back, I think she should get life in prison. She knew what she was doing. She wasn't groomed, her dad was exactly the same. You see, so life in prison, should it be life in prison with no chance of parole? Yeah, I mean, look how many people have come back, you know, from fighting with IS, you know, and they've actually come back. I don't believe in that. No, if you're going to come back, you spend the rest of your day in a dark, lonely, damp cell. But how about the death sentence? Capital punishment. What do we think about capital punishment? For me personally, I think the capital punishment, the death sentence, should be brought back, but only used in the most extreme of cases. So if you have a grown man or woman that rapes a child, that to me is worthy of the death sentence. 100%. Absolutely 100%. If an adult rapes a child, there's no excuse for that. None. That to me, put that person to death. That is disgusting. If you murder one person and you get life in prison, I would say that's acceptable. However, if you're a serial killer, if you're a mass murderer, if you go into somewhere, you know, with the plan of killing and maiming as many people as possible, like at London Bridge, for example, you should be given the death sentence. Now, what would that death sentence be, I hear you say? Well, if you want to keep it old school, hanging. Or if you want to keep it less old school, you know, bring it more the American style this way a bit, instead of hanging, lethal injection. Or, failing that, have an array of different methods of which the inmate in question can choose to end their life. But the way you have to look at it, though, is because the last person I believe to have been hung in this country, I think, was innocent. But with modern technology, DNA sampling, CCTV, and all the rest that goes along with it, I would have thought that now more than ever, it would be difficult to disprove it. You know, it's like there'd be so much evidence now to prove someone's guilt if they were to commit murder, or even do the last one, like rape a child, which the absolutely, the worst thing in the world is, you know, I can think of is that there is 100% proof. You can find exactly the proof that someone done that. And as far as I'm concerned, that person needs to be either hung, given the lethal injection, strapped into an electric chair, or been decapitated in some grotesque way, or put in front of the firing squad, or drowned. I don't care, to be fair. You know, I really could not give a damn how it's done, but it's a case of the death penalty, in my opinion, needs to be brought back as a deterrent more than anything. And life in prison, my God, life in prison should be life in prison. I'm sick of seeing people get a 5-year sentence. I mean, I was watching on the news this morning, which triggered this, to be fair, of people who drive dangerously and cause death by dangerous driving. And now, don't get me wrong, that's not murder. They didn't think to go out and kill someone. I would assume so, majority of the time. A lot of it was just sheer negligence. But the maximum sentence should be given. It should be given. If you're driving recklessly, drunk, and go through a red light and end up killing someone, you should be given the maximum penalty. There's no ifs, no buts, no maybes on that one. You should be given the maximum penalty. It was entirely your fault if you did that. Not, okay, he'll only serve half of that and only a little bit less than that with good behaviour. No. No. If you drug drive, maximum sentence if you cause someone harm. If you drug drive, the exact same thing. Maximum sentence if you cause someone death or harm. Sorry, there's no excuse for it. Absolutely no excuse for shit driving. None. You know, we all go through the same test, the same hazard perception, the same theory test. When it comes to passing your regular driving test, we all have to do the same thing. In fact, I would have hoped it'd be a harder test by now. I mean, I passed my test in 2004. I can assure you it was not a walk in the park. But I would have hoped that by now, in 2019, all these years later, that the test would be harder. And I don't think it is, because I see more and more younger people on the road driving like absolute idiots. Idiots. And I've always thought when I was younger that, you know, younger drivers shouldn't be penalised for insurance, blah, blah, blah. As I've got older and as I've got wiser, I've thought to myself, well, maybe they had a point. You see, I never drove fast like an idiot when I was younger. I never got the concept of that. I never thought revving my engine, my 1.3 Popular Plus Escort at a set of traffic lights, I never thought that was big or clever, to be fair. Never really interested me, and yet there's people out there who spend all their pocket money on a brand new German vehicle with the big engine and the massive alloy wheels, and they sit there in their first car after having their driving licence for a week, revving the tits out of a 1.6, which has got less power than my current 1.3, to go tearing through the lights before they change green and knock over Granny with her shopping trolley. As far as I'm concerned, that's manslaughter. Driving dangerously like that shouldn't just be a driving ban, no. It shouldn't just be some time in jail, no. That should be a good 14 to 15 years in prison with no chance of coming out beforehand. But how is this all going to be paid for, I hear you say? Because please accept my apologies, I can't see the comments. I'm still having a problem with YouTube currently on the streaming service. I can't see any comments, but I can only imagine someone's going to say to me, but Chris, how is this going to be paid for? How are we going to keep all of these people in prison? Well, I'm glad you asked that. How are we going to afford new prisons? Well, first and foremost, what we can do to afford new prisons is, of all that money that we send to the EU every single year, how about we take a portion of that money and we build new prisons with it? And not only do we build new prisons with that 12 to 13 billion pounds per year, might I add, but we could take a small portion of that money and actually use that money to train actual prison guards, you see, and fund their wages. There we go, how about that? And that's just with 1 year's worth of not sending them anything. In fact, with the money that they want from us, the 39 billion pound divorce fee, we could build at least 4 prisons and fully fund them for about 10 years, I reckon, minimum. You see, maximum security prisons. Maximum security prisons. Now, what you could also have, instead of sending people to prison, instead of giving people the death penalty for people who cause harm, like people who carry knives that don't kill someone, but they get caught with it, or they even have used it but haven't killed anyone. As far as I'm concerned, you're going to the army and you're going to stay there for 10 years. 10 years. You'll learn how to be a man. You'll learn how to be a woman in some cases. You'll learn respect. You'll become fit. You'll become a model person. You'll learn the hard way how not to be a wanker. You see, you'll have all of that shit that you have learnt and been drummed into you in your shit existence, driven out of you by being in the army for 10 years. And you'll have absolutely no say in the matter, because if you decide to go AWOL, yeah, if you decide that the army's not for you and you don't want to be there and you get caught, then you spend the rest of your sentence in a cold, dark cell with maybe a small slit for a window, being let out for 1 hour a day to shit, shower and shave. And if it was down to me to save even more money on prisons, I would only feed prisoners porridge in the morning and gruel. Keep it safe and simple, people. I'm telling you, prison is not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a holiday camp. I know people that have gone into prison, come out and said, yeah, it was all right, we had PlayStation, we got to play pool. You know, if I went back there, my mates would still be there. No, it shouldn't be like that. Prison should be tough. Prison should be somewhere you don't want to be. That's what I think. So as far as I'm concerned, make it as nasty as possible. However, without having arsehole prison guards. What you need are prison guards that do their job effectively, that don't abuse prisoners. Because unfortunately this does happen, and that needs to stop. You need prison guards who do their job correctly, which also look out for the safety, unfortunately you have to say it, of the people in there, who can spot trouble before it starts in there. You see, prison guards that don't want the hassle, they just want it done properly, you know. But I don't know, I think life should be life in prison, and I think the death penalty should be brought back for the most extreme cases of child abuse and murder. You know, like mass murderings. It happens very rarely in this country, but I think, like in the States, I think there've been well over 50 mass shootings already in the entire country. And I don't know what states they have been in. I don't even know if those states have had the death penalty there. If it's a deterrent, why is it not working? I think it should be brought back. I think it should be in this country. I think prisons should be built. I think they should be tougher. Life should mean life. None of this get out on good behaviour and serve half your sentence bullshit. Nah, sorry. That doesn't wash for me. That doesn't wash for me at all. And I think also that any kind of religious anything, scriptures, books, what have you, whether it's Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, whatever, there should be no religious books in prison. None. None. Because I know that there, in a lot of prisons, in fact I'm going to say a good majority, there are unfortunately people in there who are recruiting for religious war because they are given religious books. And new people that go into prison who are not religious are given such religious books by such religious people and told, look, join our little family and you'll get protection in here. That happens. Yes, it does. And I think that's wrong. Absolutely wrong. So anyway, drop comments down below. Again, if it's your first time joining me, welcome. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Turn on notifications and tell your friends that there's a bloke called Chris. He talks a load of shit, but some of it makes sense. You may like it. Happy Monday, everyone. Take it easy.